Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new series for this channel. In this video, we're going to be doing the first part of our rewrite of Ash's Unova journey. I've mentioned before that the black and white anime series is one of my least favorite series of the entire original Pokemon anime featuring Ash for several reasons. So today, we're going to be doing a retelling of the first half of this story. Now, this series won't be like my Galar or Alola rewrites, and that's because the Galar series, of course, had to be created from the ground up since we never had a Sword and Shield saga and instead got the region-hopping journeys which barely feature Galar. And for Alola, while Ash went there, he pretty much spent the entire series at Kukui's house, so that series had to be heavily reworked as a traveling series. Unova will be different though. It already got its own series focusing solely on the region, where Ash traveled around in a traditional journey. So our changes here are really just narrative based. Unlike the other series, we're basically going to be going through the saga by the major canon episodes with the most important changes. And because of this, Ash's Unova rewrite will likely only be a couple of episodes as opposed to a multi-part series. And this I think will be good because it will allow me to give more commentary throughout the series. So with all of that out of the way, let's just get going right into this new adventure. Ash's journey to Unova begins with him arriving to New Town just as he originally did. Here, Ash winds up in the middle of the thunderstorm caused by Zekrom. But this time, instead of Pikachu getting zapped and his electric powers being eliminated, a slightly older boy and girl actually arrive in time to warn Ash and Pikachu to get away. As they take refuge at a nearby building, the kids introduce themselves as twins Hilda and Hilbert, and Ash asks how they knew the lightning strike was coming. The two note that the lightning strike was caused by a Pokemon, one that they've been researching for a while now, and they're studying it as it is spoken of in Unova's myths. They tell Ash a lot about Unova's history and the heroes of truth and ideals, who their grandparents always told them about. This led into the twins wanting to go on a journey across Unova to learn more about these heroes and the legendary Pokemon, Zekrom and Reshiram. Ash thinks this sounds really interesting, and during this time, the storm clears. The kids are approached by a woman who introduces herself as Professor Juniper, and it turns out that the building they'd taken refuge in was her lab. She asks them if they're there to choose their first Pokemon. The trainers say no, and say that they were simply escaping the rain and apologize for coming into her lab without permission. Juniper says that it's no big deal, but she is concerned, as she mentions that a few new trainers were supposed to be choosing their first Pokemon today, and they must have gotten caught up in the storm. But just at that moment, one trainer does show up. The new trainer turns out to be Charon. Yes, Charon is choosing his very first Pokemon here, and he goes with Snivy. Charon is quickly interested by Ash because of his Pikachu, since it's uncommon in Unova, so he challenges Ash to a battle. Pikachu of course wins, as there is no logical reason such a strong Pokemon should be losing to a beginner trainer's Snivy. Anyway, we don't need to do such deep intros into details here. Ash learns about Unova's league, so of course he wants to challenge it. And for a very important reason. Every single league he's competed in, he's been getting better and better. Last time he made it to the top 4, and this time he wants to get to the finals. Hilda and Hilbert ask where he plans to go first, but he isn't sure since he's new to the region. Hilbert says that they're planning to head to Nacrane City since there's a library there where they hope to learn more about the legendary Pokemon. Upon checking the map, he learns that there's also a gym in the same city, so they decide to all travel together. The plan is to leave out the following morning. Later that evening, the second trainer, a girl named Bianca, also comes by to choose her starter Pokemon, and she ends up choosing Oshawott. Bianca thinks Oshawott is adorable, so she takes it over Tepig. But as Bianca leaves with Oshawott, Tepig becomes extremely sad, as it was the only one not chosen that day. Ash comforts the little pig, telling him that surely a new trainer will come and take him soon. After hearing this, Tepig actually runs over to Ash and begins clinging to him. Ash is confused, but it seems clear that Tepig wants to go along with Ash. Juniper has no issue with this, stating that it seems Tepig really likes the boy, so she allows Ash to take the Pokemon along with him, making him Ash's first capture here. I've changed Tepig's backstory because, as I mentioned in another video, I really didn't like this weird habit of giving Ash all of these abandoned and abused fire-type starters, and I especially thought they didn't even handle Tepig's case as well as they did Infernape right before him or Charizard years before. And on that note, I just thought doing 2 mistreated fire starters back to back was just overkill. So instead of Oshawott, Ash gets Tepig from Juniper. So with all of that, the 3 now head off onto their new adventure. Barely into his new journey, Ash winds up capturing Pidove as his second new Pokemon in Unova. In the same area, Hilda winds up befriending and catching a Deerling. Episode 3 still takes place, but with a few differences. Ash and the others quickly come across a wild Oshawott bickering with a Sandile, which for some reason has sunglasses on. The Sandile is digging holes everywhere, which is annoying the Oshawott, who hangs around a nearby resort. After dealing with a bunch of geysers and saving some wild Pokemon, the day is saved. But here, Hilbert winds up bonding with the Oshawott and decides to catch it. Meanwhile, the Sandile challenges Pikachu to a battle, and after defeating it, Ash catches it, making it his 3rd new Pokemon. I always felt Ash should have caught Crocodile as soon as he met him as a Sandile. It just felt weird drawing that capture out. So Ash is catching him here. The trio runs into Sharon at Don George's Battle Club on the way to the first gym. He challenges Ash to a rematch, which Ash accepts. His Pidove and Tepig defeat Sharon, Snivy, and Purloin without much issue, and Sharon vows to become a stronger trainer who can beat Ash. The group also encounters Team Plasma along the way. Ash, Hilbert, and Hilda meet N and Getsis, who are trying to convince the townsfolk to release all of their Pokemon in the name of Pokemon liberation. The twins argue with N over the group's ideals and how they aren't founded in truth. Meanwhile, Ash confronts Getsis and states that his plans are crazy because Pokemon and humans are meant to exist together. Getsis walks off with the grunts, but N challenges the twins to a battle. N's Purloin and Zorua easily beat the twins Oshawott and Deerling, and N doubts the potential of the twins. This causes them to form a rivalry with him. Upon arriving to Striaton City, Ash challenges the triplet gym leaders to 3 battles. This time, though, they agree to battle him in a rotation battle, which Ash learns about for the first time. Here, Ash uses the team of Pikachu, Tepig, and Pidove against Silent, Chili, and Chris. I never liked how triple and rotation battles were so neglected in the anime, and I think this would have been the perfect place to have one, yet they just made it a regular set of 3 battles. So that's why this will be a rotation battle. Anyway, things will start out poorly since Ash is unfamiliar with this battle style, and Tepig feints to Panpour. But Pikachu is able to take out Panpour, and Pidove defeats Pansage. With only Pansear left, Pikachu and Pidove are able to rotate back and forth enough to defeat the final Pokemon. After leaving Striaton City, they later encounter a wild Snivy. Ash wants to catch her, but she basically completely incapacitates Pikachu, Tepig, and Sandile with her Attract to avoid capture. Hilbert tries to battle with his Oshawott, but as he's also a male, he becomes incapacitated in the same way. Before Ash can even try battling with Pidove, Hilda decides to try her Deerling. It turns out that Deerling is a female, so Attract has no effect on her. Additionally, Snivy only knows grass-type attacking moves, and Deerling's ability is Sap Sipper, meaning Snivy's attacks only cause Deerling to become stronger. Deerling is able to quickly weaken Snivy so that Hilda can catch her. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Ash didn't catch Oshawott or Snivy in this rewrite. This is for a few reasons. 1, I felt Ash just caught way too many Pokemon in Unova, so I'm going to be limiting him to a normal 6 Pokemon roster. 2, I never liked when Ash caught all 3 starters because it was almost always the starters who got the most attention while the other Pokemon got shafted. So combine those elements together and Ash will only be getting 1 starter here, Tepig, the one who I think had the best treatment anyway. Plus, Ash will have another grass and water type as options, so things will work out. Ash and the gang trek on and encounter Bianca along the way at another battle club. She has a battle against Hilda, who easily defeats her Oshawott and Lillipup with her Deerling and Snivy. Bianca is disappointed by this loss, but Hilda tells her to keep training and she'll surely become a stronger trainer. She decides to travel with the group for a short time to study different battle techniques. The group encounters the wild Dwebble from episode 11, and the events play out the same, only replace Silent with Hilbert, who adds it to his team. The Trubbish episode also plays out the same, only Hilda takes Ash's role and receives the egg instead of him. Lastly, the Minccino episode still takes place the same, only Bianca is already with the group. And yeah, I had Bianca travel with the group pretty much solely so she wouldn't have to leave and then come back for this Minccino episode to catch him, but she continues to stick around with the others for longer now. Upon reaching Nacrane City, the group of four splits up. Hilda and Hilbert study in the library, attempting to learn more information about the Hero of Truth and Hero of Ideals, and the legendary Pokemon Reshiram and Zekrom. Meanwhile, Ash and Bianca head to the gym. Bianca battles Lenora first, and she loses. Ash later battles Lenora, and he uses Tepig and Sandile, but he also loses this battle. Bianca becomes saddened by this loss, and even more concerned considering Ash lost as well. But he encourages her, and tells her it's okay to feel bummed after losing a gym battle, but a good trainer can always come back and train to become stronger. Ash and Bianca decide to train together, and after their Pokemon learn some new moves, they rematch Lenora, and they are able to defeat her. In Bianca's battle, she takes on Lillipup and Watchog, while Ash faces off against a Herdier and Watchog. Tepig is able to redeem himself from the earlier battles and defeats Watchog, but he does fall to Herdier. Sandile then comes in and defeats Herdier. After that, Bianca and the trio then part ways. In the next episode, Hilda's egg hatches into Scraggy. Along the road to Castelia City, Ash's P-Dove evolves into Tranquil, but this time it'll be after another battle against Charon, beating his Snivy once more. Ash also catches his Sawaddle in Pinwheel Forest as he originally did. However, one minor change here will be that Sawaddle will be a female. This is because I'm taking away one of his female Pokemon that he originally had, which was Snivy, so let's just make Sawaddle a girl, so Ash can still have two female Pokemon in Unova. Hilbert also catches a Carablast in the forest, but the Pokemon is very disobedient toward him. Once the group arrives in the city, the trio encounters Team Plasma again. Here we'll get the big epic Team Plasma 2-parter, only instead of them squabbling with Team Rocket, they're just going to be launching an attack on the city in the name of Pokemon Liberation. The kids are able to stop them with the help of Berg and Charon, who was also in the city for his own gym battle, along with Alder, who debuts here. Charon admires how strong Alder is and makes it his goal to battle him. He realizes that in order to do this, he'll need to surpass Ash. Hilbert challenges N to a battle, which he once again loses, and N belittles Hilbert and his sister, causing them to despise him more. I know the original Team Plasma episodes were pulled due to the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, but of course in an ideal world they would have aired, so I decided to include them here with our slightly altered plot elements added in. After all of that, Charon has his gym battle against Berg, which he wins, but he struggles immensely. He decides to stay and watch Ash's match to see how he battles against a gym leader. For Ash's battle, he uses Tepig, Tranquil, and his newly caught Sawaddle. Sawaddle will battle and tie against Dwebble. Meanwhile, Tepig will defeat Whirlipede before falling to Leavanny due to his exhaustion. And then Tranquil will pull off the final victory, defeating Leavanny and earning Ash his third gym badge. Okay, mini rant incoming. I think it's ridiculous that Tranquil wasn't used at all in the original Berg battle. I always thought the reason P-Dove wasn't used against the Striaton or Nacrene leaders was because they wanted her to evolve and get a bit stronger before being used in a gym battle, and then she'd be rightfully used against the bug gym leader, Berg, where her new evolution and type advantage would make sense. But no, she wasn't used against Berg at all, nor did she battle in any gym until the 6th one, where after having never battled in a gym before, and barely even battling any trainers, she was not only able to take out 2 of the gym leader's Pokemon, but also evolve. Yeah, no. Meanwhile, Sawaddle and Roggenrola were used in gym battles almost immediately after capture and were allowed big victories. I didn't like that at all. I never liked that unequal treatment among Ash's party members in Unova, so I'm going to be making up for that here. But fret not, Sawaddle will be getting more experience as well during the battle against Bianca, who they will reunite with in episode 24 as usual. Here, she evolves after beating Bianca's now evolved Duat. Hilda also catches the Emolga originally caught by Iris. Ash meets up with Charon again and they have another battle. This time, Charon's Pokemon have become stronger, with his Snivy now a Servine. He and Ash ultimately tie in the end. Ash decides to do some training with Charon in the next episode, and he catches his Palpitoad. And this will be Ash's final capture this series. I think this roster was fine for Ash and could have easily been his canon team should BW have been handled differently. It still gives him enough variety, but now we can give more focus to all the team members. Ash will compliment Sharon on becoming so much stronger, and he tells him that he views him as a rival. Sharon feels like he's one step closer to his goal and thanks Ash for helping him as a trainer. Episode 34 occurs as usual, only it'll be Hilbert who catches a rock and roller this time. The trio also encounters Team Plasma again, with everyone battling with the members with all of their Pokemon. All of the starters end up evolving here. N challenges Hilda, and once again, despite becoming stronger, she loses to him, and he becomes even more confident than ever that these kids are no match for Team Plasma. From here, Hilda and Hilbert realize that enough is enough, and they need to make a huge effort to start training more. And this will lead into them battling more and more as the series progresses. In Nimbasa, Ash immediately heads off to the gym to battle Elisa. Only when he gets there, Bianca is in the middle of a battle. She sadly loses, so Ash offers for her to watch his battle, so she can see more of the gym leader's battle style. He tells her once again to not get too bummed out over losing, and explains how learning how a gym leader battles can be a great way to develop a strategy. Bianca takes Ash's words to heart and agrees to watch his battle. Meanwhile, the twins encounter N once again, and he encourages them to ride the Ferris wheel with him. During the ride, he explains his ideals to them and how his truth is that Pokemon are better off away from human enslavement. Hilda and Hilbert challenge him to another battle. This time, the twins are able to handle his Pokemon much better. Hilbert struggles a little due to Carablast not listening to him, and N points out Carablast's disobedience, suggesting to Hilbert that he should release him for his own happiness. Hilbert angrily rejects this suggestion, and eventually the twins defeat the Team Plasma member, and Dwebble and Deerling evolve. They then encourage N to learn more about the heroes of the past and the legendary Pokemon, suggesting it may change his views. But he comments that he already knows more than they think. While all of this was happening, Ash was having his gym battle against Elisa. He tells Bianca that a good way to plan for a gym battle is to focus on type advantages. He uses his Sandile, Swaloon, and Palpitoad. Swaloon takes on Elisa's Tynamo first. Swaloon is able to defeat her due to Tynamo only knowing electric-type moves that Swaloon easily resists. Sadly, the little bug then feints to Zebstrika's Flame Charge. But Ash simply uses this as a learning experience for Bianca. He tells her that many Pokemon can learn moves to counter their weaknesses, and to keep that in mind when battling anyone. Palpitoad is sent out next, and he takes out Zebstrika without any issues. Emolga then comes in to take down Palpitoad with Attract and Acrobatics. Sandile is Ash's last choice, and while Emolga can't use electric-type attacks due to Sandile being a ground type, he also can't hit her with ground-type moves due to her being a flying type. Ash tells Bianca to always keep dual types in mind when thinking about type advantages or disadvantages. Eventually, Sandile is able to defeat Emolga with his dark-type attacks, like Foul Play, and he evolves into Krokorok after the battle. Bianca thanks Ash for helping her, and she tells him that she plans to become a good strategist in battle. So, you've probably noticed that I've given Ash more of a mentor role to Sharon and Bianca. This is because another one of the big issues I had with Black and White was how Ash was dumbed down from his major growth in Diamond and Pearl, and basically treated as an underdog again. I hated how he was constantly put beneath his rookie rival, Trip, who was treated as a better trainer than Ash, who always needed to work his way up to defeat him. It was totally backward and made no sense to me. I wanted to make it feel like Ash was still progressing, and show him as being more of the experienced rival, so that's why I'm giving him this role here. I also greatly changed the Elisa battle because that is one of my all-time least favorite battles from the original Black and White, just because of how so stupid Ash was, how he had basically no strategy and battled like he just didn't know what he was doing. So I definitely wanted to make that much better here, and I hope you guys enjoyed if you also didn't like the original one. When the group reunites after the battle, Sharon arrives to the city and he challenges Ash to another battle, but he loses yet again. He becomes discouraged since he really wants to defeat Ash and eventually work his way to challenging Alder. Sharon decides to travel with the gang for a bit so he can see more of Ash's battle style. In episode 52, Alder appears as usual and Ash challenges him. Alder falls asleep during the battle, but he's snapped awake pretty quickly and effortlessly defeats Ash's Pikachu. This horrifies Sharon, who is even more impressed and intimidated by Alder, since he can easily defeat his rival's strongest Pokemon. The two partner with the forces of nature happens, only with Team Plasma instead of Team Rocket. Along the road to Driftvale City, Hilbert's Roggenrola evolves into Boldore. Ash immediately goes to the gym once again, but Hilbert and Hilda hear comments about Team Plasma grunts in the area, so they go off to find them. They find them in the cold storage, where the grunts continue to spew their crazy ideas, and upon noticing the twins, they send out their Pokemon to battle. The siblings easily beat the grunts and send them running, and realize just how much stronger they're becoming. Meanwhile, Ash has his gym battle, and ends up using Palpitoad, Swadloon, and Tranquil for an easy victory. Tranquil takes on Krokorok, and wins due to being able to avoid ground-type attacks in the air. After that, she goes down to Palpitoad, so Swadloon takes the frog out with her grass-type moves. Excadrill then takes her out pretty quickly with Horndrill, which seems to be a major threat. But Ash's Palpitoad defeats Excadrill by confusing it with Supersonic so it can't get off any attacks, then pummeling it with Hydro Pump and Mudshot until it's out of commission. With this, Ash earns his 5th badge. The group goes to Chargestone Cave in the next episode, but instead of a Galvantula filler, this will be a major episode. N will appear again, and Hilda asks him if he's changed his ideals yet, and he states that he hasn't, as he still views his beliefs as the truth. Hilbert then states that he'll convince him to change his views with another battle. N's team constantly changes, so the twins never know what to expect, but with their battle experience and knowledge growing, they continue to get better in battles against their rival. But N continues to grow stronger as well, and this battle actually ends in a tie. N tells the twins that they best stay out of Team Plasma's way for their own sake. Hilda and Hilbert begin to realize that they should probably focus even more on training their Pokemon and even catching some more, since N is becoming more challenging and these threats from Team Plasma seem even more severe. In episode 63, the group meets up with Bianca as usual. Ash has another battle with her, and it's clear that she's taken his battle advice and become stronger. Tranquil evolves into Unpheasant after taking down Bianca's Shelmet, who really didn't listen to her much during the battle. Ash notices that Hilbert's Karrablast also doesn't listen to him, and everyone wonders why that is. As such, they each spend time with the other trainers' Pokemon to see if maybe it's something with their personalities. But surprisingly, Karrablast seems to get along with Bianca, while Shelmet really likes Hilbert. So the two decide to trade their Pokemon, and they actually end up evolving, meaning Hilbert now has an Excelgor, and Bianca gets her Escavalier. Heading over to Mistralton City, Ash challenges Skyla. She starts out doing the whole air battle thing, but he eventually convinces her to have a normal battle. Since Silent isn't here, let's say Charon shows up and he's the one to challenge her, but he'll actually win, which convinces her that air battles aren't too accurate, and she should go back to having regular battles. Ash then challenges her to an official gym battle. Krokorok will take on Swoobat, but he'll lose like in canon. Unpheasant will then come out to defeat Swoobat, but will fall to Skyla's own Unpheasant. Since Pikachu hasn't been used in a gym battle in a while, let's give him 2 wins here, and have him defeat both Unpheasant and later Swanna. The trio will enter the Don George Cup Explosion, along with Sharon and Bianca. Here, Hilda Scraggy will form a rivalry with Montgomery's Throw and vow to challenge it. They battle in the finals, and Scraggy evolves into Scrafty, where Hilda wins the whole tournament. Let's also rewrite the Durant episode, and say that here, Hilda will catch a wild Jilbur, while Hilbert catches an Axew. Around this time, Ash would have met Seamus, aka Tepig's old trainer. But if you remember, not only has Tepig already evolved into Pignite, Seamus isn't Tepig's old trainer in this rewrite. Tepig was obtained from Professor Juniper, so this entire plot needs to be reworked. Seamus will now just be a typical smug trainer who looks down on Ash's Tepig and battles him to prove how much stronger his own Fire-type Pokemon are. And while he doesn't evolve here, he still learns Fire Pledge. Also, replace Snivy's role with Palpitoad to show more of his personality, since Ash doesn't have Snivy anymore. Now let's skip on over to Ash's gym battle in Icera City. He'll battle Bryson with his Pignite, Pikachu, and Krokorok. Unlike the original episode, Krokorok doesn't do too well here against the Ice types, though he puts up a good fight. Pikachu will defeat Vanillish, who Krokorok fell to, and then he'll take on Triagonal, but he'll fall there. Pignite then handles the rest of the heavy hitting, defeating the remaining Pokemon, including Bryson's signature Beartic, with his new move, and Ash will get the victory. Let's now rewrite episodes 80 and 81 since Silent and Iris aren't here, and these episodes are heavily focused on them, and we're going to transform them into training episodes. Hilbert does a temporary trade with his sister to evolve his Boldore into Gigalith. Ash's Swaloon will evolve into Leavanny after a battle against Hilbert's Axew, and his Krokorok will evolve into Crocodile after a battle against Hilda's very strong Drillbur. Now we're about to start entering some big changes. Instead of Ash and Co. going to Verbank City in episode 83 so he can battle Roxy, they'll be going to Opelousas City to challenge Drayden. Once the group arrives to Appaloosa City, they are immediately impressed with the futuristic look of the place. Ash runs off to battle the gym leader, while Hilbert and Hilda spend time checking out the city. During this time, they meet a young girl. The girl introduces herself as Iris, and immediately challenges Hilda to a battle. Hilda agrees, and after a long battle, she defeats the dragon trainer. Her Drillbur evolves into Excadrill after the battle. Iris is impressed by how strong Hilda is and offers to show them around the city, as it is rich with history about Unova, something that excites the twins. They ask if she's ever heard of Unova's heroes or the legendary Pokemon Reshiram and Zekrom, and she says that she certainly does, and she fills them in on all that she knows. As Hilda and Hilbert chat with Iris about the heroes of the past, Ash battles Drayden. Ash uses his newly evolved Crocodile and Leavanny along with Palpitoad. Leavanny takes on Fracture and defeats it by tying it up with String Shot and using her new Energy Ball. Dredigan defeats Leavanny with Flamethrower afterward. Palpitoad then comes in and takes down Dredigan with his Supersonic and attack spamming combo, but he takes heavy damage. Haxorus then takes out Palpitoad, and Crocodile is last. After a long battle where Drayden primarily has the upper hand, Crocodile learns Dragon Claw, and he defeats Haxorus. But he immediately falls after Haxorus goes down. Ash asks if this means that the battle is a tie, but Drayden says that since his Pokemon fell first, he'll give Ash the badge, since he feels that he's earned it. With 8 gym badges, Ash is able to enter the Pokemon League, and Hilda and Hilbert tell Ash what they learned from Iris. So when the group reunites, they head off for the League. Now, here is where Season 1 of the original Black and White series would end, and Black and White, or Best Wishes Season 2, would begin. Dawn would come back, and the World Tournament Junior Cup would happen, Cameron and Virgil would be introduced, and the League would take place. After the League would be Episode N, and then the Decalore Islands arc, where Charizard would come back to Ash's team. This is where we're going to start making some major changes. First of all, I'm going to be merging Best Wishes Season 2 and Episode N here. Dawn's return will occur since I guess it has to, but there will be no World Tournament Junior Cup or Charizard return for a very important reason that we'll get to later. Cynthia will also be here, just as she was, but she's going to be spending her time learning more about the legendary dragons with Hilda and Hilbert. Instead of Cameron or Virgil debuting here, Ash will meet his single league rival, Hugh. Hugh will appear in an episode where we introduce the new Team Plasma from Black 2 and White 2. Since we've established N's role as a villain here, he obviously won't be traveling with the group. Instead, it'll be Hugh, who reveals that Team Plasma stole his sister's Purloin a while ago, and he's been training to become a strong trainer to get it back. In order to train, he's trying to compete in the league, and he needs to get his final 2 gym badges. The gang is confused by his story, though, as they aren't aware of Team Plasma stealing Pokemon, but instead wanting to liberate them. Meanwhile, Hugh has never heard of any activities like that from Team Plasma. The trainers also point out the differences in outfits, with the Team Plasma grunts that Ash and his friends were familiar with wearing white uniforms, whereas these now wear different black uniforms. Regardless, the group will agree to travel with Hugh, and their next mission is to accompany him as he earns his final badges. The gang will head to Humalao City, where Ash becomes more familiar with Hugh. His team will be pretty much the same as his in-game team, and his starter is an Emboar. Ash learns that Hugh is a fierce battler who has his Pokemon attack opponents relentlessly, barely allowing them a chance to strike back. Ash is almost intimidated by the fierce battle style. On the way to Humalao City, the kids encounter Team Plasma repeatedly, and they realize just how different these grunts are compared to the ones they'd seen previously all throughout Unova. They eventually run into the Shadow Triad. Hilda, Hilbert, and Hugh battle them, and while the Triad is strong, the kids come out on top. And in the battle, Hilbert's Duat evolves into Samurott, and Hilda's Servine evolves into Superior. The gang makes it to Humalao City, where Hugh has his battle with Marlin. Hugh's Electros and Bouffalant take down Marlin's Jellicent and Mantine with no issues, barely taking any damage. After the gym battle win, the kids learn that they can take a boat to another city for Hugh's final gym badge, which turns out to be Verbank City, so they do just that. After arriving, Hugh immediately challenges the gym leader Roxy, who actually allows him to use his full team against her roster of 3. But Hugh says that won't be necessary. His Unpheasant takes out Roxy's Coughing, thanks to Super Luck critical hits. He then switches to his Emboar, who brutally defeats Scolipede with its fire-type attacks. And finally, he switches to his Flagon, who defeats Garbodor by avoiding attacks in the air and striking back with powerful Earth powers. Hugh thus defeats Roxy without losing a single Pokemon. This stuns not only the gym leader, but also Ash, Hilda, and Hilbert, who are in awe of Hugh's power in battle. Hugh earns his last badge, and with that, it's time to head to the league. Like I said, Virgil isn't appearing in this rewrite, so we can head straight to the league. In the black and white anime, Ash's first battle was against Trip in a 1v1. But of course, Trip isn't here, and we don't want to give a 1v1 battle to Ash against any of his major rivals anyway, so let's say he just battles a random trainer in round 1 and defeats them with Pikachu. Ash's next battle would have been a 3v3 against Stefan, but again, we're just going to have Ash battle some random trainer and get a win. Now we can move on to the most important element of this league, the full battles, and Ash will be battling Charon first in the top 8. Charon will start with his Haxorus, and Ash will send out Crocodile. The battle will be tough, but Crocodile will come out on top. He's pleased that he was able to defeat a Haxorus outright here, after his technical tie against Drayden's Haxorus. But from here, Charon will send out Serperior. Crocodile battles hard, even showing off a new aerial ace, but sadly Serperior will defeat Crocodile thanks to a mighty solar beam. Ash will send out Unpheasant next, but Charon will switch to his own Unpheasant. The birds will duke it out in an intense aerial battle where Ash's will win. Charon will send in Gigalith next, who will defeat Unpheasant pretty easily as she's exhausted from her battle against Charon's bird. Palpitoad will be Ash's next choice, and he'll defeat Gigalith after a very long battle, which leaves Palpitoad heavily injured. Next will be Liepard, and he'll be able to come in and defeat Palpitoad with ease. Pikachu will then come in, and after a fierce battle between the two speedy Pokemon, the cat and mouse will tie. Semisear will be next for Charon, and Ash will send out Tepig. The fire types have a rigorous battle, igniting the battlefield in flames at times, but in the end, Pignite will get the win. Unfortunately, he'll be too weak to take down Serperior, who finishes off Pignite with a new move, Aqua Tail. Leavanny will be Ash's last choice, and she'll be the one to defeat Serperior with her newly learned X-Scissor attack. Ash compliments Charon on having given him such a great battle, telling him that it was the best they've ever had. Ash tells him that he's grown so much as a trainer from when they first met, and Ash is happy to see his improvements. Charon thanks Ash for the kind words and the amazing match. He tells Ash that even though he lost, he'll keep working to become an even better trainer. He adds that he hopes Ash wins the whole tournament. Next, Ash and Bianca battle in the top 4. Bianca starts with her Escavalier, so Ash sends in Pignite, but Bianca immediately switches to her Samurott. Ash is impressed to see Bianca change the matchup in her favor, and the battle truly begins. Pignite battles his hardest, but in the end, the type disadvantage is just too much, and Bianca Samurott gets the win. Ash sends in Pikachu next, but Bianca switches into her Stoutland. Stoutland and Pikachu get into a suspenseful brawl, and Pikachu only just gets the win thanks to Stoutland becoming paralyzed by static during the battle. Bianca sends in her Musarna next, and she puts Pikachu to sleep and hits him with Dream Eater for a quick win. Ash sends out Leavanny next, but Bianca swaps to her Chandelure. The Fire-type puts Leavanny out of the battle rather quickly, so Ash sends in Crocodile. But Bianca switches to Samurott again, and her starter is once able again to put up a great fight, thanks to her type advantage. But Crocodile battles hard as well, and he's able to just get the win. Bianca sends Chandelure back in, and Ash goes with Palpitoad. Bianca tries to use tricky ghost-type tactics to get the win, but Palpitoad is able to come out on top, thanks to his type advantage. Bianca sends in Escavalier again, and he and Palpitoad engage in a powerful brawl, which ends in a tie. Bianca sends in her Mienshao, and Ash goes for his Unpheasant. Mienshao is able to fight well despite the type disadvantage, but ultimately Unpheasant wins. Last for Bianca is Musarna, who is able to defeat Unpheasant with Charge Beam. Ash's last Pokemon is Crocodile, and this is where Bianca becomes powerless. Her Musarna has no moves which can hit a ground and dark type, so despite being exhausted, Crocodile is able to take out the Musarna. Bianca is heartbroken over her loss. She truly thought she'd be able to defeat Ash this time. She switched her Pokemon to have the advantage and taught her Pokemon a wide variety of moves, but sadly it still just wasn't enough. Ash, on the other hand, praises Bianca for making use of all the advice he'd given her over the course of their journeys. He says that the battle was amazing and that Bianca overpowered him numerous times, so much so that there were several times he thought that he may lose. He tells Bianca that she's an amazing trainer and that he hopes she'll continue to work on her skills. Bianca thanks Ash and promises to keep working hard toward her goals. Ash is now in the finals, and it turns out that he'll be battling Hugh. After all this time, he's finally made it to the finals of a Pokemon League tournament. Now is the moment of truth. it's time to see if he can become a Pokemon League winner. Before the battle, Ash speaks with Sharon and Bianca again, where Sharon states that he's realized his ideals, and he now wants to work to become a gym leader after he's become so much stronger and learned so much about battling. Bianca, on the other hand, says that she took Ash's words after their battle to heart, and the truth is that she just doesn't think that she's cut out to be a trainer, and actually wants to work researching Pokemon with Professor Juniper after she learned so much about Pokemon during her training and her journey with Ash. Ash is happy to hear of his rivals' new dreams and wishes them well. Now, it's time for Ash's battle against Hugh in the finals of the Unova Pokemon League tournament. Ash is nervous, but he knows he needs to win this. This is his chance to win the tournament. He can't mess up now. He's going to have to give it everything he's got in this battle. Hugh greets Ash on the battlefield and tells him that he's excited and can't wait to see what Ash has planned for him. And Ash says that he hopes this will be the best battle he's ever had. Hugh starts out with his Flygon, so Ash uses Crocodile. Hugh feels he has the advantage, with Flygon being able to fly, but Crocodile is confident he can take out another Dragon type. The Reptilian Beast uses Aerial Ace to duke it out with Flygon in the air. He can also launch Stone Edge from a distance. Flygon hits hard as well though, with numerous ground and Dragon type attacks. After a long scuffle, Crocodile launches another close-range Aerial Ace, and as Flygon attempts to intercept the hit, Ash commands a Dragon Claw, which nails Flygon and gives Ash the first win. Hugh sends in his Bouffalon next, and this heavy hitter is able to demolish the exhausted Crocodile with Head Charge. Ash sends out Pignite next. Bouffalon is able to land numerous strikingly hard hits, but Pignite remains strong. He uses a brand new fighting type attack that Ash taught him specifically to take on Bouffalon. Superpower. This attack does just enough damage to take Bouffalon down. Hugh is impressed by Pignite's power, but he sends in his Emboar next. Pignite fights his hardest, but sadly there's not much he can do against his evolved form in his exhausted state, especially since he knows a super effective attack. Pignite faints to this very attack, Scald, shocking Ash as he'd never seen a fire type use a water type attack. Nevertheless, Ash sends out Unpheasant next. In watching Emboar's previous battles, Ash is aware that this Pokemon is pretty much a close-ranged fighter, so Unpheasant can keep her distance in the air and launch air cutter attacks while avoiding Scald with Quick Attack. Hugh attempts to switch his Pokemon out, but the giant boar refuses. As such, Hugh orders more attacks, but it is only to his Pokemon's detriment, as Unpheasant defeats the fighting type with a final Air Slash. Hugh goes with his Electrok next, and the Electric type is able to defeat Unpheasant rather quickly. So next up for Ash is Leavanny. She seems to have the upper hand until Electros shows off Flamethrower, dealing a lot of damage to the bug. Still, Ash finds a way around this. He has his Pokemon use String Shot to wrap Electros' mouth so it can't launch its fire-type attack. Electros tries to burn through, but Leavanny's silk is far too thick. Leavanny then takes the opponent down with X-Scissor. Hugh sends in a Braviary now, shocking Ash as he'd not seen this Pokemon from him. Hugh mentions that he wanted to get one of his stronger Pokemon to face Ash, so he brought along his Braviary, and he was truly correct, as this Pokemon decimates Leavanny with a single Sky attack. Ash uses Pikachu next, and the battle winds up being tougher than he imagined. Pikachu does come out on top, but he takes a lot of damage. Hugh is left with only one Pokemon. Now, I did say earlier that Hugh's team was almost the same as his in-game team. I swapped his earlier Unpheasant to a Braviary for this battle, just so he wouldn't have 3 trainers with an Unpheasant in the league. But that said, there's still another brand new member that we've added, specifically since I changed Ash's original final Unova League opponent. Hugh sends out his Lucario. The second non-Unova native surprises everyone in the audience, including Ash. But he's ready for this. This is the last Pokemon he needs to defeat to win a Pokemon League. He swaps out his tired Pikachu for Palpitoad, and the Pokemon engage in a massive duel. Palpitoad has several strong attacks, but Lucario is quick enough to dodge nearly all of them. A strong Mud Shot is able to connect at one point, as does a strong Hydro Pump, weakening Lucario immensely, though he doesn't back down. Ash thinks he can end things, so he orders a Supersonic to confuse Lucario, but the Jackal dodges and uses Copycat to send a supersonic back at Palpitoad. Confused, the frog is helpless to a close-range Force Palm, which also paralyzes Palpitoad. Unable to really do anything anymore, Palpitoad launches a Hydro Pump, which strikes the stadium wall in his confusion, before paralysis grinds his movements to a halt. A Circle Throw then puts him out of the battle. Pikachu is Ash's final choice, and both Pokemon are pretty tired. Attacks are launched relentlessly, with neither side giving an inch. Pikachu uses a shockingly strong Thunderbolt to do heavy damage, and Lucario fires back with a devastating Aura Sphere. The attacks collide, creating a massive explosion. The trainers call move after move, both wanting each hit to be the last. After an agonizingly long match, a final collision of Electro Ball and Aura Sphere causes both Pokemon to fly backward. The Pokemon are on the ground, and each trainer is calling out to his Pokemon to stand back up. Pikachu and Lucario struggle to their feet. The Pokemon are panting heavily, gasping for breath. The audience stares at them in awe, waiting to see who will be the one to fall. It's as if time stops, and out of nowhere, a tremor is felt on the ground. This tremor starts out small, but it becomes faster and louder. Soon, cracks begin forming in the center of the stadium, and the stadium walls start to shake. The audience immediately flees from the arena and head out to safety. Pikachu and Lucario run back to their trainers as they rush out the door. As they make their way outside and look back to the stadium, they can't believe their eyes. An entire castle rises from the ground and destroys the entire league stadium. At the top of the castle, Ghetsis stands with a group of Team Plasma grunts. Ghetsis is now sporting a new black outfit, which matches the grunts. It is here where Ghetsis explains that his goal has been to take over the Unova region the entire time, and he's ready to achieve this end. Trying to get the Unovan citizens to release their Pokemon willingly hasn't worked, and he's lost his patience. A small fraction of his subordinates even separated from the main group recently to try to achieve this end, but it's still not been fast enough for Ghetsis. Now he'll have to take the region by force. Ash, Hilda, Hilbert, Hugh, Bianca, and Sharon climb the tower and encounter no one other than N. N explains that they're too late, and they should just leave, as Team Plasma's ideals will soon be the world's. Hilda and Hilbert prepare to challenge N to a battle, but right in that moment, he says that he also disagrees with Ghetsis, who he reveals is his father. The only thing he was ever taught was to liberate Pokemon, but it was all a lie from his father, and he also wants to stop him. From here, Ghetsis appears behind him with a large, weird-looking Pokemon. The Pokemon freezes the area around them, and Ghetsis introduces it as Kyurem. Ghetsis says that this Pokemon has the power to freeze Unova solid, and Ghetsis will ensure that his mission is fulfilled. Before anyone can make a move, two huge Pokemon burst through the walls. Hilda, Hilbert, and N identify them immediately, Reshiram and Zekrom. The Pokemon begin speaking through telepathy and tell Ghetsis that they're here to stop him. His ideals have been corrupting the truth of the world, and they will bring an end to his plan. Now, we don't need to waste too much time here because the results are going to be obvious. A massive battle ensues between all the trainers and the legendary Pokemon, with Ghetsis splicing Kyurem with Reshiram and Zekrom every so often during the brawl. In the end, though, the Team Plasma boss and Kyurem are defeated. Ghetsis is arrested and the trainers head to the center of Virtua City. Here, they're honored by local law enforcement for their assistance in taking down Team Plasma. Ash and the others are of course grateful, however, many people only have one thought in their minds. What about the end of the league? Team Plasma destroyed the stadium before the results could be determined. The league staff state that, unfortunately, they can't deem anyone a winner due to the interrupted match, and with the stadium and pretty much a lot of the city destroyed, there's nothing they can do for now. The priority for everyone needs to be rebuilding everything and ensuring the safety of any injured citizens. As such, this league's Virtuous Conference will have no winner. Ash completely understands the severity of the situation, and yet he can't help but be disappointed. His goal when he first got to Unova was to finally make it to the final round of a league, and he'd actually done it. But now, he'll never know if he would have actually won or not. The feeling devastates him, and he feels like he let his Pokemon down. Now what is there for him to do? And this will wrap up part 1 of Ash's Unova Journey Rewrite. Okay, now, we have to address some things right now. First, we've concluded both Ash's League quest and the story events of Team Plasma. As such, like I mentioned earlier, we don't need any kind of separate episode N because we already got through everything to do with Team Plasma during the main series, meaning there would only be one last season for the series, the Decalar Islands arc. However, I really never liked this arc as, to me personally, it was literally just filler and added nothing major to the Black and White series, so I don't plan on adding that to this rewrite. But if you remember, I removed the World Tournament Junior Cup and what would have been Charizard's return in episode N earlier on in this video, and now I can explain why. Instead of the Decalar filler arc, we're going to be having a Pokemon World Tournament arc. Since the official PWT from the Gen 5 games never appeared in the Black and White series, I'm going to incorporate that here. So instead of Ash just bringing back Charizard to his team for literally no reason, like what happened in canon, we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be seeing Ash bring back a lot of his old Pokemon in the Pokemon World Tournament, as he battles against trainers from previous regions. That means Ash's old Pokemon will now have an actual reason to return to compete in this tournament, and it's not going to be just one Pokemon that, in my opinion, already got plenty of screen time to himself. It's now going to be plenty of his older Pokemon, especially those that, in my opinion, didn't get that much time to shine in their earlier respective series. And we'll go through all of the entirety of that next time, so stay tuned for the final chapter of this rewrite with Pokemon the Series Black and White World Tournament. I will see you all then. Thank you.